Hello, this is Heather Hoffman, and I'm here today to share a simple card design with you using the March 2021 Kit of the Month from Unity Stamp Company. I've already got my image stamped out on vellum. I've got my sentiment ready. I've got 3 colors of monochromatic cardstock, a light pink, a medium pink, and a red. And then I've got some nested ovals I'm going to use. This would also work with rectangles or squares or any shape you want. I went ahead and picked the 2 size ovals, starting by picking the largest that would fit on my A2 card base. And then I nested down to the next size oval to go ahead and die cut my image that I have on my vellum there. And I'm going to be using, so even though I've cut out 3 entire ovals, I could partially die cut them. It was just simpler to do it this way. If you were doing rectangles or squares, it would obviously be a little simpler. I'm going to use that light pink as my base, and that's going to start at the top. And to make sure I get perfect straight cuts down on the others, I'm going to line up my next 2 colors, stack them up together on my paper trimmer. Then I can slide them up, kind of make sure I have it as straight and even as I possibly can, and then die cut them both together. And then I can take off that darker pink layer. I'm going to set that on there, and then I'm going to use the line I now have on that red piece to line up on the lines on my trimmer to trim down the next piece. I'm just kind of eyeballing. I'm not going too precise on my measurements. I really could have worked more on that, but I just wanted it to be kind of a rough third on the pattern that I was doing there. All right, now that I have those 3 layers done, I'm just going to carefully adhere those down, doing my best to keep them straight. Liquid glue might be easier because it gives you a little more wiggle room to slide them around, but not too terribly hard to put them in there. As I look at it on its own, I can't help but think it looks a little like an Easter egg as well. All right, now I'm going to punch a tiny hole at the top. I've already set my vellum piece on top. It's not adhered down. I'm just punching a hole through all of that together. I have a tiny hole punch, but you can use a paper piercer or something as well. And this is where we're going to make our bow. So I cut off a small piece of my twine, and then I'm just going to wrap twine around my fingers to make the basic bow design. And I'm going to grab my reverse tweezers just to kind of hold that out of the way for a second. But line up those layers again. This is also a great way to attach vellum without having any adhesive show from behind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold that little piece that I set aside to start with, make a nice crisp crease in that, and poke it through both layers of that little hole just to leave a loop. So you can see the pieces in the back and that loop on the front. Then I'm going to grab that bow that I have in my reverse tweezers there that I set aside, slide one half of it through that loop, pick it up, and pull those pieces from the back snug. And just like that, you have that holding your bow in place. Turn it over and tie this in a knot. And realistically, the knot's going to hold it pretty well. It shouldn't slip through that hole at all. But one little reinforcement I like to do is trim that down and just tape those extra pieces on the back, just so I know it's really going to hold that snug and not move. It's such a fun, simple way to make a bow. And like I said, it also is now holding together that cardstock layer of the oval and also my vellum layer. All right, I have my sentiment already stamped on a little strip of white cardstock. I'm trimming it into a banner shape. I just like adding that interest of the banner shape, and it's super easy with scissors just to carefully trim that down by cutting it in the center and then cutting from each corner into that spot. All right, then I had to pick and decide where I wanted to put that sentiment, and I grabbed some just good sturdy adhesive, and I'm going to adhere that. First of all, curve up those edges of the banner a little just for a bit of texture. And then adhere that in place, kind of offset on the bottom. And then another little thing I'm going to do just to keep that vellum a little sturdier is I'm going to use that banner to hide an additional little bit of adhesive on the back there. And that's just going to hold that vellum even more stable and sturdy where I want it. All right, we're almost done here. I'm going to use some foam tape to go ahead and adhere this onto my white card base just to pop it up off that background a little bit. Trim that banner, or not the banner, the bow down ever so slightly. And then it's fun to put a little crystal or jewel. In this case, I'm using an enamel dot just in the center of that bow. A button also works well. And then a little extra liquid adhesive is just going to really hold that bow in place and keep it from coming undone. All right, that's it. And we are done with this card. Thanks so much for coming by today. Have a wonderful day.